Cheng Wan reviewed her mother's notes about the issues at Xinganli Hotel. Most of the problems were indeed real. Ms. Chen called Cheng Wan for help, saying a tour group she was coordinating had some last-minute issues. She arranged for the group to stay at the Xinganli Hotel. She stayed up all night drafting a plan for hosting them and worked until dawn, eventually falling asleep at her desk. Butler Kui brought her breakfast early in the morning, and she handed him the plan, which he immediately began preparing for. During their meal, Jiming admitted that he and Pei Sheng had originally planned to take over Xinganli together. He then confessed his feelings for Cheng Wan. Shocked by his sudden declaration, she was so flustered that she spilled her coffee without realizing it. He quickly apologized for startling her. Later that night, Cheng Wan met Mao Mao and told her about Jiming's confession. Mao Mao suspected that he was only after the hotel, but Cheng Wan believed he was sincere. Realizing that Jiming no longer shared the same goals as her, Pei Sheng was unwilling to give up and began planning to exploit Jiming's weaknesses. Cheng Wan officially took charge of Xinganli Hotel, rallying all the staff to work hard together. Liao Gang publicly challenged her, mocking her with sarcastic comments. However, Cheng Wan had thoroughly researched each employee's background beforehand and knew that Liao Gang had started as a doorman and was promoted to concierge team leader due to his outstanding performance. She also recognized that Grandma Chen's old management methods were outdated, and she planned to gradually adjust the salary structure, promising bonuses and profit sharing for excellent performance. She encouraged everyone to treat Xinganli as their home. The staff applauded her enthusiastically, showing their support. Meanwhile, Jiming reported to the headquarters leadership, who Pei Sheng's lies had influenced. They ordered him to acquire Xinganli Hotel within a month. Jiming was shocked to discover Pei Sheng had been scheming behind his back. He Dong pointed out that Jiming might soon have to choose between Cheng Wan and Xinganli Hotel, but he didn't commit to a decision. He later sent Cheng Wan a potted plant via courier, wishing her success with the hotel. Lu Wanyu brought Wang Ai, an old neighbor from their lane, to visit the garden villa, asking her to help introduce potential suitors for Cheng Wan. When she returned home from work, her mother was thrilled, but Wang Ai made an excuse to leave. The mother urged Cheng Wan to move back home as soon as possible. To her shock, Cheng Wan suggested they move out and rent a house instead. Her mother, used to the comfort of the garden villa, refused to consider moving to a rental. Jiming then moved into the villa, allowing the Mai family to stay. Cheng Wan had no choice but to relent, but since there weren't any spare rooms in the house, Jiming offered to stay in the attic. She felt this wasn't appropriate and suggested that he take her room, or else she would move out and rent a place. Her mother adamantly refused. Cheng Wan, not wanting to argue, left the house. Later, Cheng Zhao came home from work and supported his sister's decision. Lu Wanyu, still refusing to move, finally relented after much consideration, though she made Cheng Zhao promise to keep a close eye on Cheng Wan's every move. Cheng Zhao packed his belongings and went to stay with his sister, who arranged for him to live in the staff dormitory. Jiming moved into the attic, and when He Dong heard about this, he couldn't resist teasing him. Early the next morning, he prepared a lavish breakfast, impressing both Cheng Wan parents. Despite Cheng Wan's leadership, Xinganli Hotel's business revenue remained unsatisfactory. She devised several practical strategies to boost the hotel's performance and asked Shirley for help securing a business order that Botticelli had rejected. She later met with Director Zheng from the Shanghai Daily Chemical Factory to discuss a business reception plan. During the meeting, she accidentally learned that Ms. Zheng was getting married soon. Jiming arrived shortly after to negotiate cooperation with her, prompting Cheng Wan to leave first. Jiming later met Cheng Wan to apologize for the situation at Xinganli. She admitted that Xinganli's business reception capabilities were not as strong as Botticelli's, but she considered holding weddings at the hotel. He suggested hosting Shanghai-style weddings, and she agreed it was a good idea. When Jiming returned home from work, he saw Cheng Wan's father drinking and immediately guessed that Mrs. Wanyu wasn't home, as she strongly disapproved of him drinking. Taking advantage of his inebriation, Mr. Lai Tian offered Jiming some wisdom on handling relationships between husbands and wives. Jiming's business collaboration with Director Zheng progressed smoothly. Cheng Wan, aware that Xinganli Hotel couldn't compete with Botticelli in business events, followed Jiming's suggestion to launch a Shanghai-style wedding project at the hotel. Cheng Wan asked Mao Mao to design a custom wedding jewelry set for Director Zheng. Mao Mao agreed, but with a tight deadline, she worked late into the night, struggling to find inspiration. Cheng Zhao took her out for a break despite the heavy rain. Sharing an umbrella, they wandered through the rain, listening to romantic music. They started playfully splashing rainwater at each other, laughing all the way. When they returned to the shop, he bought 2 cups of ginger tea, and Mao Mao suddenly got her inspiration from the raindrops. She was so excited that she hugged and kissed Cheng Zhao. When director Zheng returned from his trip, she immediately visited Xing'anli, where Mai Chengwan personally gave him a tour. Mao Mao delivered her jewelry design on time, and director Zheng was very pleased, entrusting his entire wedding to Chengwan. This marked a significant victory for her, and she was thrilled. Cheng Zhao accompanied Mao Mao to the hotel, dressed up unusually well, which aroused Chengwan's suspicion. She gave a clumsy excuse to cover up his feelings, but Chengwan realized they were in a relationship. Director Zheng invited Jiming to his wedding at Xing'anli, and on the day of the wedding, he arrived on time. Chengwan was busy preparing everything and ensuring the event went smoothly. Jiming was impressed by her skills. Chengwan, planning to buy a house for her parents, found several properties for her parent to inspect. Jiming, hearing that the family was moving out of the old villa, felt a sense of loneliness. After the success of the wedding event, Chengwan was optimistic about Xing'anli's future. However, Liao Gang questioned her ability and doubted her promises of wage increases and bonuses, accusing her of making empty promises. Chengwan, unwilling to explain further, agreed to let him and others leave if they wanted to resign. She used the money she saved to buy a house to cover the hotel's expenses. Uncle Kui informed Jiming of the hotel's financial situation, prompting him to return the Chengwan family to the villa. He encouraged them to stay in the house without worrying. Cheng Zhao told his sister about this, sensing Jiming's affection for her, but she tried to dismiss the idea. After work, she went to the villa to explain the situation to her family. She hesitated at the door, unsure how to start. Just then, Jiming returned from his night run. She thanked him for his help, and Jiming seized the opportunity to invite her to go fishing with him. The next morning, he came to pick up Chengwan for the fishing trip. Coincidentally, Cheng Zhao and Mr. Lai Tian were also planning to fish, so the four of them ended up going together. Trying to keep up appearances, Jiming forced a smile and chatted with Mr. Mai, though his mood was off. Chengwan noticed his displeasure but wasn't sure how to smooth things over, so she stayed quiet throughout the trip. Cheng Zhao, sensing the awkward tension between the two, also remained silent. Chengwan suggested that her father start a fire to grill some food and asked Cheng Zhao to help him, hoping to talk with Jiming. However, when she tried to speak with him, her father interrupted again, leaving Jiming no choice but to focus on fishing. Unfortunately, he struggled, losing fish repeatedly. When Chengwan finally caught a fish, Jiming tried to help pull it in but used too much force, accidentally flinging it into a tree. Thanks to director Zheng's wedding, Xing'anli's reputation skyrocketed, attracting many customers wanting to host weddings there. Chengwan was thrilled with the success and visited her parents at home. As she waited for a ride outside the hotel, a drunk man approached her, insisting she drink with him. She politely declined, but the man persisted, harassing her. From a distance, her mother saw this unfold and, without hesitation, rushed to defend her. She even took off her shoe and hit the drunk man, injuring him and scaring him off. The police summoned both parties to the station. Mrs. Liu explained the situation in detail, emphasizing that she acted to protect her daughter. Chengwan hugged her mother tightly, thanking her repeatedly. Jiming arrived to help settle the matter, intimidating the drunk man into dropping any charges. He also had Dong buy a new pair of shoes for Mrs. Liu, and the police only let her off with a warning, as the man wasn't seriously injured. Jiming invited Chengwan outside to enjoy the cool evening air. She thanked him for helping her mother with the police. Taking the opportunity, he expressed his feelings for her, leaving her unsure how to respond. Suddenly, he received a call from the airport about his friend Zhang Ziu's wallet being stolen. Jiming hurried to the police station to pick up Zhang Ziu, the daughter of Pei Sheng, who had just started university this year. While he was abroad, he was her legal guardian. Bored of being alone overseas, Zhang Ziu had impulsively decided to drop out of school. After returning to China, she was extorted while trying to do a good deed and beat the scammer angrily. She continued to berate the scammer in front of the police when Jiming arrived to take her away. Ziyu wanted to go home with Jiming but didn't want to get further involved, so he sent her to her mother. When Pei Sheng found out Ziyu had dropped out of school, she was furious. Ziyu refused to stay abroad any longer, especially now that she was a popular travel streamer with tens of thousands of followers. The mother was speechless with anger. Jiming returned home late and noticed a small nightlight at the stairwell to guide him, guessing it was from Chengwan. Feeling warm appreciation, he brought the nightlight into his room. He wanted to send her a message to thank her but hesitated to disturb her rest. Instead, he posted a picture of the nightlight on his social media, setting it so only Chengwan could see it. To his surprise, she was still awake and quickly replied. The next morning, Mrs. Liu prepared a lavish breakfast, but Chengwan was too busy with work to stay and eat, leaving Mrs. Liu disappointed. To make it up to her, Chengwan enrolled her mother in a senior cooking class and set up a food blogger account for her to share her recipes. After attending a few days of the cooking class, she got bored and signed up for rock climbing lessons. In his spare time, Mr. Ma enjoyed gardening, and Jiming, wanting to learn, received a plant from Chengwan and tips on how to care for it. Ziyu arrived at the hotel looking for Jiming, pestering him persistently. She then insisted he take her out for a meal, and he reluctantly agreed, taking her to a fast food place. During the meal, Ziyu asked him to be her boyfriend, but Jiming reiterated that they were just like siblings. Having anticipated this response, Ziyu refused to give up, convinced he would eventually accept her. Ziyu asked around to find out where Jiming lived. By chance, she ran into Mrs. Liu, who was returning from the market, claiming to be Jiming's girlfriend. Mrs. Liu invites her to the house for a meal. Ziyu devoured the food, and Mrs. Liu called Jiming to inform him of the visitor. He rushed home, repeatedly clarifying that there was nothing between him and Ziyu before forcefully sending her away. Chengwan returned home from work and learned from her mother that Ziyu had visited to see Jiming, claiming to be his girlfriend. He denied this, insisting he only saw Ziyu as a sister. Mrs. Liu encouraged her daughter to be bold in pursuing her happiness, just like Ziyu. That night, Chengwan called Mao Mao to ask for advice, and Mao Mao suggested that Jiming and Ziyu's relationship might not be so simple, leaving her jealous. Unable to find Jiming, Ziyu sought out He Dong, who was on a date with his girlfriend. Spotting Ziyu from a distance, he tried to run away but was caught by her. Chengwan met Fang Da and asked to discuss a potential business collaboration, and the two had an engaging conversation. Ziyu, who happened to be at the hotel, secretly took photos of the meeting and sent them to He Dong, who promptly informed Jiming. He hurried to Xinganli to find Ziyu, urging her not to cause trouble. She suspected he liked Chengwan and declared she would compete with Chengwan fairly. Ignoring Jiming's objections, she went to Chengwan to apply for a job. Chengwan asked her to follow the normal application process, and Zhang left then. During the bus ride, Jiming casually inquired about Chengwan's relationship with Fang Da. She explained that they had only met a few times in their childhood. Seizing the moment, he confessed his feelings and she responded with a kiss, leading to a passionate embrace. Returning home, they quietly returned to their rooms but were too excited to sleep. He messaged her, suggesting they go to work together the next day. Concerned that her mother might notice, he went out to the balcony to call Chengwan out quietly, where they exchanged sweet nothings. They agreed to meet at 5 a.m. the next morning. The next day, Jiming couldn't stop thinking about Chengwan, eager to spend every moment with her. Although she was swamped with work, she agreed to meet him for dinner. Impatient, he brought lunch to her workplace, and seeing her working while eating bread, he fed her himself.